Today, we're flipping through the comic where Lex Luthor basically says, I turned Batman and Flash into kids and killed them. And Superman reacts like, bro, that's a Tuesday. This is Action Comics number 466, the legendary issue where everyone gets hypnotized, Flash pretends to explode, Batman becomes tiny, and Lex Luthor literally weaponizes bad parenting energy. We open with Superman crashing into a cafe like a meteor wearing a cape. People scream, tables explode, silverware dies. The caption basically says, this is bad, but trust us, it gets way dumber. Page 2. Clark doesn't wander into work, he calls in sick. Which already tells you something is wrong because Clark Kent calling in sick is like Aquaman calling in thirsty. Perry White immediately hits maximum Perry White mode. What do you mean Kent is sick? Lois is suspicious because Clark doesn't sound sick. He sounds 12, which honestly, fair. Next page, Clark is like, why do I suddenly look like a middle schooler in a Halloween costume? The man is literally checking the mirror like, did puberty just reverse itself? And here's Lex Luthor doing what Lex Luthor does best, explaining his plan out loud to absolutely nobody. He's ranting about how he used hypnosis, technology, and spite to turn Superman back into Superboy. This is science fueled by pure hater energy. Guy driving like he's in a 1970s action movie loses control of his car. Superboy tries to help, but because he's basically 15 again, everything goes wrong. Somehow the dude crawls out alive and just goes, huh? Why am I not dead? Same, guy. Same. And then boom! Surprise cameos! Kid Flash and Batboy! Yes, this comic said, you know Batman? What if he was 4 feet 8 and adorable? Flash basically drags the crash victim to safety so fast he doesn't notice his own limbs. Superboy meets up with the discounted J.C. Penney catalog versions of Batman and Flash. They're like, we gotta team up, dude. Lex Luthor made us kids. And Superman, age 14 and a half, is like, I don't know what's real anymore. Luthor pops in with the single most tax-evading jet I've ever seen. He looks down at these 3 superhero children like, bro, daycare's open early today? Then the saddest thing happens. Flash vibrates to dodge the blasts, but the beams are tuned to his frequency. He blows up like microwaved spaghetti. Superboy cries. Batman cries. Readers cry. Luthor? Laughing like he just saw TikTok for the first time. Batboy tries to fight Lex Luthor. Props to the kid. He jumps in with a full flying ninja kick. But Lex Luthor says, nope, and boots him into orbit like a soccer ball. Superboy steps up to fight. He's doing okay, until Luthor blasts him with enough energy to power the entire 1976 grid. Luthor starts bragging about killing Batman too, like it's open mic night at the Legion of Doom. Then Superboy finally uses his one weakness, critical thinking. He realizes, wait, none of this makes sense. Batman isn't that short, Flash doesn't explode that easily, and Luthor doesn't have this good of a plan. It was all hypnosis, every bit of it. Lex literally hypnotized Superman into believing he was a kid and seeing kid versions of his friends. He breaks the hypnosis by doing the most Superman thing possible, believing in himself so hard that reality literally fixes itself. He grows back into full Superman like puberty speedrun any % complete. And now it's time for Lex to get folded like a lawn chair. Superman smacks Luthor so hard the man's power glove shatters like cheap Walmart plastic. Batman and Flash reappear unharmed and full-sized. Superman's like, yeah, turns out those dead kids were androids, which somehow makes it more insane. And the comic ends with a cliffhanger that basically says, next issue, Superman destroys the world. Again. Peak 70s DC energy.